is oftentimes the center of some of the most nefarious thoughts that a person can have. So I figured, as we cruise the sea of stars and encounter these traumas together, that we should discuss this word and where it sits in our society and how we can make it work for the benefit of all. But before we get into that, I'm gonna need this air cleared. Sea Wind, would you please?
Cover your noses.
Disclaimer, Jutsu!
You'll get used to it one of these days.
My eyes!
The views and opinions expressed in this program are strictly those of each of the hosts and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of any associated brands or figures. Ass covered. Poof!
Ooh, yeah. Ugh. Now that's one way to get the cream rising up to the top. How are you, crewman? It's good to see all 41 of your smiling faces once again. Have we grown by one more?
We have.
42. The answer to life. You guys bring me such joy. Thank you for being with us. And by us, I of course mean my fantastic co-hosts and dear compatriots, Sea Wind, CJ, sound off for the people. How have you two been?
You know me, magical and making it.
All peace over here. Real ninja shit.
Manifesting your greatness,
Yay, yay.
maintaining your balance. Proud of both of you. Truly am.
Appreciate you, Captain.
Appreciate you. And I appreciate all of you out there too. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about a controversial but I believe necessary topic today. Age and the tricky role it tends to play.
Don't believe the songs, it's more than just a number.
Oh, it's most definitely more than a number. I think we can all look back on a time where our age either immediately prevented us from doing something or was a justification to why we were in trouble. Something that is so easily adjusted and clearly slides up and down on a scale, I don't believe should be set in a way where anyone could be taken advantage of. Or at least, that's how I would like to see it done. But as we know, in some states, it's legal to marry 16-year-olds. In a lot of states, 17 is the age of consent. And in some parts of the world, the age of consent is as low as 13.
Youch.
Ew.
And I know what a lot of people may be thinking. Oh, well, they're not like us, civilized America, where we only creep on girls when they're about to turn 18.
So, like, that's still a teenager?
Exactly. I mean, you guys could let me know if I'm wrong on this one, but I'd like to share an idea with the two of you.
By all means, do.
Let's say you raise the age of consent across the board internationally to the age of 21. And you make the term age of consent entail that from this point forward, you have all the legal rights of a fully fledged adult worldwide. Meaning choice of partner, anyone the age of 21 or above. The ability to rent a car, drink, smoke. All the basic things that an adult can do, you are able to do without question. Take out loans. People are not able to bogart you because, oh, you're not 25, or, oh, yes, you're 18, but you're not yet 21. Now, if you're sitting there going, why the hell would I want the age of consent raised to 21? 18 is just fine. I have a question for you, and I really want you to think about this. Why are you so adamant on the age being kept as low as possible?
Yee.
Like, I myself, 32 birth years, can't really see myself wanting to have anything to do with somebody who is 18 years old. We have absolutely nothing in common, and their brain quite literally has another 7 years of development to go until they are a fully grown adult. Really, 21 is kind of cutting it too close, but I figured if we've made it to where smoking is now only legal if you're 21, which used to be a right of 18-year-olds, which used to be a right of teenagers before that.
Yep. 16 in some states.
We were able to move that age up across the board, yet the age of consent is still as low as 16 in some places.
Ew.
I don't understand why an adult can look at a 16-year-old, pursue that 16-year-old sexually, or even worse, groom them, because the law says a 16-year-old can consent to sex. That's actually why I say we should take the word and make it mean multiple things. Or rather, we make the term consenting age actually mean that. We make consenting age a legal thing across the board. These rights are now given to you. Your full autonomy as an adult is christened upon you at the age of 21.
Question.
What's up?
Okay, so below 21, how would that be impacted? Whereas, nobody scoffs when they see a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old dating or something like this, because they're both still teens, not a huge gap between their ages like this. So how, if at all, would that impact, a 20-year-old and and below?
State laws, my friend.
Down to the state. There you go.
At that point, it's implemented by state laws. It's in the responsibility of the schools from that point to enforce those laws on their campuses in order to protect students.
If you don't go here, you don't belong here.
Like the idea, imagine this, of the schools having adequate sex ed programs so that children are taught how this works, what's going on with their bodies, and how to deal with that in a healthy manner. They are told other things other than abstain because, let's be honest, some kids just won't. And on top of that, most of these kids aren't going to be hanging out anywhere where they can't. Most cities and states have curfews for children under a certain age. 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, they're not bound to that. They can still legally work and stuff like that. If you want to get down to it, you could go even further into the schools, and you could make people's junior and senior years less about types of mathematics and whatnot that they're not going to ever use again. And you can test them in their junior year, find out what their aptitudes lean towards, and then start giving them credit either working towards a trade or working towards a degree field that they would test high for. Kind of like how the Army does with the ASVAB. They're not being forced into an education system that is completely cookie cutter and forced to stuff as much information into their heads as possible so that they can just regurgitate it into a test. No, they actually spend their junior year learning about how to pursue what it is they have a high aptitude for and the careers that are within that. And then maybe in their senior year, they actually go ahead and do like an internship where they start to get paid. They actually learn how to maintain a bank account and a budget, and that's what they're graded on at the end of their senior year. But, not to go off on a tangent on that, we could talk about education reform all day. But when the schools have that much involvement in the students' lives, when the students are that involved with peers of their own age groups, and they are properly educated on sexuality through their schools, then the idea of, hey, a 12-year-old is at this stage of development, you should not be having feelings towards them. And while you're at it, having open mental health facilities on campuses would further prevent this, because it would allow students who are having these feelings to be able to go and seek help. Not because they're being shamed for it, because no one will know they have it except for them and the counselor, but because they know how to identify them so that they can get assistance with them. So that's how you go to the place that needs the most reform to help them get to the point where they're able to make that decision on their own, where they're able to go, no, this is a 12-year-old, even though we are both below legal consenting age. It would actually be wrong and would cause traumatic things to happen if I were to do this. Educate them honestly and be transparent with them. Understand that this is a full human being, a young adult, and educate them on what their bodies are going through honestly so that they know what to do and how to handle themselves, and they know if something is wrong, and then give them the adequate resources to have someone to speak to about these things.
Yeah, that should definitely include with sex education at each level, like, because your body's developing in different ways at different ages. Your brain is developing differently at different ages. So instead of this like one size fits all kind of explanation for what you're going through, you know, when you go through puberty, you should be aware of what happens to a 12-year-old's body versus what's happening to a 16-year-old's body versus what's happening to a 20-year-old's body. Because for some people, if they understood that, you wouldn't even think about doing certain things to a younger child. You could cause permanent damage, irreparable damage to both their mind and bodies that wouldn't happen to an adult your own age.
Imagine what it would be like if teens were properly educated on what a underdeveloped younger body goes through when it becomes pregnant. Imagine how that would stop many of them from trying to get pregnant on purpose because they see it romanticized in television. Because they know the reality, they're not easily swayed by their media. Which, for all we know, may even help them with questioning things more and seeking answers.
And not to just put it on their media, what they see normalized in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah, their whole...
Because their parents were misinformed.
Or just your peers, because I know they had the baby doll mentality when my sister was younger, where it was like I would hear the girls talking about, oh, I would look cute with a baby bump and having a baby on their hip. It was a doll, like really like an accessory.
Yep.
Yeah, so that mentality just has to get kicked out.
And that, my friends, is why this conversation is so important. Because we have to look at them. These people that say that are now in their 60s, 70s, 80s, we got to look at when they were born, how they were brought up, and how they interact with us who are in our mid, late 20s and early 30s. For some odd reason, these older folks that were so quick to give children replica babies are the very same people to treat those now adults like they're know-nothing children. a wonderful type of bigotry that, for some odd reason, is in full swing in our modern year. Ageism. My shadow-stepping friend, methinks you gotta move for this one. Educate the people, would you?
Hold on, let me see what's in my bag. Definition, Jusu. You ain't know I had that shit too, did you?
Ooh,
Yeah.
definition-y. Smells educational. Is that a hint of pine?
It is. It is.
Wow, refreshing and educational.
Oh God, it's
Indeed.
like Dr. Squatch all over again.
It's the Dr. Squatch of education. We're gonna clean your dirty minds with the truth today.
And if you observe the smoke pattern, it is spelling out the word ageism. It is a noun, and it means prejudice or discrimination on the grounds of a person's age. Used in a sentence, ageism in recruitment is an increasing problem.
In which direction?
Screenshot. Arguably in both. You know, I think most of what I see here with ageism is, of course, dealing with, you know, people who get old and aren't chosen for jobs, but then ageism happens when you're younger as well. Discrimination based on, you see this both with gender and age, but how much your insurance costs. You know, it costs more for teen boys who drive red cars, apparently, because I happen to be one of those motherfuckers at the time. So,
Two of you.
yeah.
Ditto.
Yeah. So it happens.
But when it happens, older folk to millennial folk, it always seems to be in the most snarky and condescending of ways. Like I said, I could even remember growing up being told I was too old to behave a certain way. While simultaneously being told that I was too young to do other things. And once again, like I said earlier, the lines of that were always blurred because it seemed to go back and forth.
Which is it?
Am I independent enough to make my own dinner and look after myself? Or do I need looking after to the point where I need to be watched and I need to leave my door open? I can't be the same age and both things apply. If I'm old enough for you to verbally reason with me, then why are you still using physical or corporal punishment to deal with me? Has there ever been a time where either of you have been judged for or looked down upon for it? Like for how old you were by someone?
Oh, buddy. How old I am coupled with how old I look does not seem to add up to most people.
How so?
I had a table of ladies ask me how old I was back when I was still 29, and they just told me to keep doing whatever I was doing once I told them, because I'm sure they thought I was 19.
Well, that's more of a compliment than them actually judging you or withholding something from you. That's complimentary. That's flattery.
Well, I didn't want to jump right into all the men who thought I was stupid because I look like I'm stupid.
Hey man, if those were the examples where somebody decided because you were young you were blank, then that's what it is. It doesn't have to be sugar-coated for anybody. Nobody's expecting that. It's the truth that people learn from around here.
Hold on now, on that compliment thing. If you were to switch age out with race, like they say, wow, you know how they make the compliment, and then I'm pretty sure it's well intentioned, like something
Pretty for
like
a black girl?
things like this, or the texture of your hair, and pointing out that it can do certain things that their hair can't. It still feels kind of so I can see how with age, with some things, it's like you could feel that they think that they're complimenting you, but at the same time, it's like, well, shit, why I couldn't be this age and then have that quality? Or
You're asking me, the one that went to a private school in a small rural town in the Bible Belt? You're asking me that.
Yeah, we are. Now give us an example of it, why don't you?
Oh, let's talk about the first time the hair thing came up.
Not of race, of age.
He said race.
No, we went back to age. I said just implant race there to see how complimenting ain't always complimenting, and then we went back to age and how it can kind of feel the same way in some cases. I'll give you an example. Like how these niggas around here be, oh, I can't wait till she turns 18. Nasty motherfuckers.
See, that's the thing. Oh man, you can't creep on her. She's 17. But she gonna be 18 next week. You guys that think that way are definitely part of the problem. CJ, on that line.
Let's not get into my ex-brother-in-law who knew me when I was still before my first period happened. And then suddenly, now that I'm like 19, I'm getting thick like my sister. End quote.
Nigga.
Now that's grimy.
Traumatic.
Disgusting. And yet, because there are states where that age is 17, 16, young ladies all over the U.S. have to deal with shit like that.
We all have a story like that. Some aren't as tame as mine. And I mean that to say that that was the tame one.
Now, honestly, if we increase education, like I said, then stuff like that will hopefully stop happening. But let's take a look at our elders, like I said before. We've all been doubted or talked down to when expressing an idea. How have you dealt with that? Especially if it came from someone older that you respected. Have you ever just been judged by someone that you actually looked up to who was your elder? Simply because of your age?
You know, interestingly enough, and this is another form of ageism I didn't even think about, I experience almost the reverse more often, where when I was young, small, I was being talked to and expected things of that somebody much older than me would normally be expected of, like the way like a parent or someone would have spoken to me, like how my behavior should be and things like that. Like you shouldn't be expecting of a 5-year-old. And so likewise, like my punishments, a lot of times, even when I was small, was more like something you'd expect of a 16, 17-year-old boy, like getting hit with a fist or something like this. You know, it's like getting hit like you a grown ass man. You know what I'm saying? So it was a reverse where it was like, maybe you should kind of discriminate a little bit in terms of age, like, because I didn't understand this thing or that thing at that fucking age. Like I was advanced, but at the same time, you got to understand I'm dealing with kid stuff at this time. So my whole perception of reality is based around kid stuff. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, so what if, and imagine this reality, what if your mother, while going through school, while being taught about herself and about human development, learned at what ages a child's brain develops certain characteristics?
And it's perfect that you asked that, because actually within recent years, I don't think it's even been 2 years at this point, she was actually diagnosed with a developmental issue related to basically being stuck as a child, because she went through some traumatic stuff when she was younger, and so it was just certain qualities that did not develop. And so now you have this weird situation where you have somebody who's matured physically and being put into the world expected to do certain things and know certain things because they're a certain age, who didn't, because you had something that got developmentally stunted, but now she has kids of her own who she has to teach how to be an adult, you know. So hey.
And again, imagine if back in that utopia scenario where we were talking about the education system getting reformed in order to combat this. Imagine still if there was a mental health specialist on staff specialized to her age bracket, whom she could openly go to and speak to about such things. Imagine how much different her life would have been. Imagine being able to acknowledge and develop a plan to deal with the traumatic events that she had dealt with sooner, when they happened, right after they happened, because she had a trusted source outside of the home.
I think it's so interesting that you have this idea while I'm remembering that the first time I ever thought about how a child learns was when I was in college.
Because it's not something they just put in your face. Because, like, in that same scenario, if somebody understood where a child is normally at a particular age, somebody would have seen that and identified it, and then been like, hey, you may not be aware of this, but this is how, you know, children normally are. Because my mom was kind of antisocial and had social anxiety disorder, so she didn't know necessarily that anything going on with her was different from what was going on with anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So if you have professionals on staff who are able to identify these things and see them when you may not yourself, and be able to bring them to your attention, bring them to your caretaker's attention, then you can do something about it.
Absolutely.
So dare I say the cure to ageism may in fact be education?
I think education is a cure for a lot of things.
Yes, absolutely.
In recent encounters, my friends, I clashed with a not-so-gentleman in red, and I realized that a lot of his judgments of me came from my new age way of thought and my youthful appearance. He assumed I knew nothing of the world because of my age and because of my looks. Not even my views. I said one word and then everything became about how I looked, how old I was, what I didn't know, what I couldn't know. The interesting thing is, when somebody views you in such a lowly way, it gets you to thinking. It gets you to thinking as to why them simply being your elder means you are not allowed to teach them anything. The pride that comes in when someone older than you feels as though you are trying to correct them or educate them is some of the most unrivaled anger I think I've ever encountered. That man threatened my life and everything simply because I was joking around and called him a clown, right? I saw somebody who had a lot of bravado. I says, all right, duel accepted. Bam.
First parry.
Oops, parried. Slash and dash, baby. On to the next one. Or so I thought. I figured I'd fire back, let him know who I am, say my name, because he asked the fucking question. You asked, I answered, and then he got upset again. And after 8 flurries of responses, before I could even press play, he took them all back. It's strange that he came lunging in for another round, only to slam the brakes and go full reverse. And the only reason why it bothers me at all is because I know it's not because I have his respect, but because it was that he just did not want his perspective challenged again. Didn't want to deal with the potential of us butting heads. What I would view as the potential to end things amicably. He took his responses back before I even got a chance to observe them. Now, why he did it are his reasons alone, but I gotta tell you, I was kind of disheartened that he did. And it's honestly because I was hoping to start a dialogue between two generations. He does the same job for his company that I do for mine. There is always the potential for me to learn from him, at least professionally. And there's even the potential for him to learn a new way to go about things from me because of when I came up, because of the experiences I've had. And yet, I feel as though I could never be viewed as an equal because of the gap in our age. I feel as though I will never get to understand why he approaches things the way he approaches them. Why certain words affect him the way he does. Because he could never see me as an equal. Which, though it is disheartening, doesn't slow me down at all. I'm sure one day I will encounter someone who is my senior, who is in the position that I'm in, who may openly advise me, while allowing me to ask questions and engage in the way that I'm naturally going to do so. But I often wonder, how is it that we try to bridge that gap? How do we change how an entire generation above us views us?
Well, so part of the, you got something for it before I go into it?
Well, it occurred to me, looking at all those instances I had and running it through the filter of my adult brain, some of it kind of seems like a problem of projection on our elders' parts. Because they say we're old enough to know better and this, that, and the third, or you don't know anything at blankety blank age. But when they were our age, now and at 18, they were expected to do a lot more than we were at 18. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. Please go on, my friend.
So it's almost, with this whole kind of ego trip of looking at your children as your chance to do over, as you trying to overcorrect things you were doing at that age. I think we've all heard this one. I know you better than you know yourself.
Indeed, yeah.
Anybody else feel like you know your parents better than they know you?
Heard and received.
Man, he was just yelling at me about doing this, that, and the third, because that's exactly what the fuck he was doing at my age.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Everyone's had an elder that projected their insecurities onto you. Oh, when I was his age, I was doing X, Y, Z, this, that, and the third. So the best way to keep him from doing it is to shame the shit out of him, preemptively. There's no way they'll be curious about doing it if I shame them about it.
Now ask yourself, did shame work on you?
Did lockdowns work on you?
To get beat like a slave work on you? Did it actually?
Hey. Hold on to that.
Okay.
Tired of y'all flinging episode ideas out like that. And then I'm like, whoa, hold on, stop, wait, whoa. That one's further down the line. Slow your roll. But no, you just gotta go full forward every damn time, don't you?
If I'm anything, what am I?
Well, I'll say this, little Miss New Braids. Goldilocks over here ain't splitting no hairs, ain't that right, Chris?
They can't see this.
Yeah, I know it could have been a hairy situation, but...
I mean, they can't see her new do, but we do see the do, and we know how well she do with her do.
And when we do what we do...
She always handles her duty. Diligently and with dexterity.
I'm sick of all y'all shit. Every last one of you.
She's so good at making connections, no wonder she braids her hair so well.
Just like we're braiding together these solutions. And you know...
Just blending the words and making the punishment oh so fantastically intertwined with our fantastical content.
So let me go ahead and weave together some understanding for this generational gap thing. A large part of it, and then you'll see this in most cases. When you have people who only know a particular walk of life, you know, because most people, you're going to assume that everybody's life works the same way that yours did. Like, you grew up in a particular environment, you grew up with a particular way of doing things. So the solution, or at least the awareness, does come largely with you being exposed to multiple different, you know, ways of life. Because for me, one of the early lessons I learned that probably kept me from going into a direction of ageism is in the world of martial arts. Now, I'm not talking about those old happy clap for 'em every time they break a board type of classes. Like, when you have classic style training, you don't get a new belt until you've earned that belt. Like, they don't care what age you're at. They don't care what you do until you're ready for that belt. You can be an older person, and if you're not ready to go to the next belt, you're not getting it. And so when I was in high school, when I first started training in Shotokan, one of my senior student, not by age, but because of rank, was a 12-year-old. I was 16, and it was this young lady that was a 12-year-old, and she was good. She was being trained not long after that to go to the Olympics. Like, good. She was great. She was gifted. And so if I just looked at her like, oh, this girl is younger than me, then I don't have to respect her. I don't have to listen to her. I'm not just disrespecting her, but I'm disrespecting the art. I'm disrespecting the work that she put in. I'm disrespecting Sensei who promoted her or whatever. Like, that's like I'm questioning his judgment in you know, advancing her the way he did, you know. And so that was one of my earliest encounters with that. So I went through life, you know, looking at it. It doesn't matter what your age is. Like, what have you actually done? What have you actually accomplished? What are you doing now? You know, so it's not just a given that when you reach a certain age, you've accomplished certain things. I know people in this town who have never been off of their block or their street. They've never been on the opposite side of town their whole lives. So naturally, their mentalities are going to be based around that one neighborhood when things may be working in an entirely different way in another neighborhood, let alone another state. You know, so that's what it is. You have to at least, if you don't live another way of life, you have to at least look at other ways of life and consider that the reason somebody else, the way they do things, the way they think, it may be because they had a different walk of life where they are exactly where they should be, all things considered.
Most astute, my dude. Really, I try to put most of my encounters with it behind me. Anytime I've ever been doubted for my age, I've used it to motivate me. Because there are few things that fuel my flame than being underestimated. Oh man, you want to get me in a motivated mood? Have me have that hint of, this motherfucker doesn't think I can do it.
Taste it.
This motherfucker is grinning at me and shaking my hand, but I can feel that doubt. Oh no, hombre. Wipe that smug smile off your face. The next time you see me, you're gonna be hoping I say yes to your proposal.
Yes, sirree, Bob.
Because, goddammit, I will not stop polishing this turd until there is either fertile soil left behind by the ashes or gold bars made from that turd that I polished perfectly. Either way, my crew's gonna eat. But I'd love to work with them rather than have to burn them down. Know what I mean?
Get on the bus or get out the way.
And don't be upset that somebody driving is half your age.
Bars.
I'm behind them because they are my word. Have I ever let you down when I've given you my word?
Not a single time.
Not me, man.
Crewman, same promise to you. Hold me accountable. I've got strong shoulders, don't sweat it. And for us to reach that oh so wonderful, equitable sea of stars together, I really would like us to be able to reach out to our elders and speak freely and openly with them. Quartermaster, how would you go about it? What do you think would be a way that we could get those older than us to speak openly with us and not look down their nose?
Man, you put a lot on me with that one.
Well, you are so good at translating my mayhem into sensical dialogue. I figured you could handle it. Especially after that light bit of punishment we gave you earlier.
Not again. Just not again.
So, may have been a lot, but it's better than that, isn't it?
Aren't you just a peach? You are just a peach, you are.
I try. I do it for the crewmen. I want to make sure they're properly educated.
I mean, I don't even know if I can give you in a perfect world on that one. Yes, I could. In a perfect world, they'd already know what they should, which is I'm their peer, not their child.
Did you choose to be here?
Hell no.
So, they should probably make you being here as unstressful and understandable as possible.
'Cause I ain't asked for this.
But you are a little human being that is able to communicate and able to learn from their mistakes. So perhaps, when you are comfortable with approaching them with your mistakes, because they respect you and don't expect you to fail, do you think that might help?
I mean, I got that for a while, and then I don't know what happened.
Just one day they decided, nah, you fucking up.
Rules were different. I had barely figured them out in the first place. All of a sudden, new rules.
Now that blows. That blows right and proper. You mean to tell me they go from everything's hunky-dory and fine to, no, fuck that. Lock down on this little hoe. You'll not have a fun day while I breathe.
What has happened?
Silence in the house of the Lord. Sit down and pray, and then watch this loop of some Christian pastor on VHS. Church in the morning, church in the evening, church at supper time.
Church is on the
Best
table.
do what's in the Bible, or it'll be discipline all the time.
Hey, seriously, you're making me sound like Tenacious D over here. Cut it out.
Well, I mean, you are rather tenacious, Chi.
Tenacious Chi.
I love Buzz in the Tower, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chi, watch this! Stupid joke! Dumb comment.
As I say often, I hate it here.
Hyperbole. How could those who have been here longer than us make it to where you don't hate it here?
They can move out of the fucking way. Pass the torch and sit down.
Okay, that. Or, they could be more open to mentoring those younger than them to bring them into the trade. Or perhaps be open to learning from that protege so that new, more progressive things can be developed and implemented into our society.
Well, I can actually already tell you on a positive note that the ones that get it do. I'm talking to the ones that don't.
So rather than the Nalds McDudes, you're focusing on the Nalds McDon't.
I said what I said.
No dollar McNuggets here. But if I keep up these stupid jokes, this chick's gonna fillet me.
You're gonna owe me big. I hope you know that.
Hey, at least I'm not waffling on anything.
Let me drop this nugget of wisdom real quick. You know nothing.
Ooh, I was hoping you'd surprise me with something like this.
Yeah, catch up now. But anywho, so we can do this all day. But remember, in any situation, nothing shuts a motherfucker up like results. So
Now that's how you make it Mac tonight. Re-fucking-zults.
stack them results like patties, y'all, and add some sauce on top.
For that good taste.
Let us continue. Now we can do this all day.
That's why there are no cameras in here. This right here.
It's
This-
abundantly clear that we could.
No.
Abundance.
We just got the recipe. Hot and ready. Made to order. Pure madness. It's that perfect stack of education with a bit of cheese and that special sauce of entertainment. Serving it up hot for the crewman.
And it's only because we know that we're the men you count on to make it happen.
We're the value men you need in your life.
The men you count on to tell you
4 out of 5 times
What do y'all even want from me at this point?
just for you to live in a hearty state where if you want a single, double, or triple story home with all the fixings, fuck, if you wanted a royale, you could order it up. That's why we are the way we are towards you, dear Chi, because we want you to be able to order anything on the fucking menu in an equitable society where you've got a chance to have it your way.
So to all the older folks out there, I'm just gonna say, be careful who you call Junior.
And with that, my crewman, it is I, your captain. Remember when they ask, who is Captain Flint? You know, they know, she knows, and we knows. Before we set back into this glorious sea of stars onto the next target, Anything you want to say to the crewman, my dear shadow-stepping friend, from whom the flow and punishment never ends?
Hey, peace to all the ages and the races, y'all.
Chi. Anything you'd like to say to the crewman?
That is it. I have had it with all of you. Drink your water, take your meds, do it or don't. I don't care anymore.
She has left the building.
Oh. She quit. She's gone. She's out of here. She'll never come back. Jeez Louise.
Good thing she's the one that can breathe in space.
My magical girls are gone. Either way, crewman, remember this. Captain loves you. Try to keep an open mind. And try to educate yourself. Always take the opportunity to bridge that gap. Because you never know what you might learn or what you might teach someone else. And to my elders, if you are listening in, yes, you have experience. No one's ever going to take that from you. But try and learn from someone who has seen less days. Because those fewer days may give them a whole new perspective that you may not be able to envision without being reminded of where you were and who you were at that time. Try to learn from each other. Try to share with one another. But above all else, remember this. Captain loves you. And we're out of here, my friends. Now, we've got to go see if we can't track down our magical girl. Gee, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to punish you like that.
Fuck you!
Oh, gee, you know that that's not legal. That's incest. Now I insist. Come on back, gee.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.